Welcome everyone, this is Zozo Stockwatch, and let's get ready for the week ahead, July 17th through July 21st. Not such a quiet week that passed in the markets for the summer, as the markets powered higher to new record highs. The Dow Jones 30 powered up to new record highs and up for the week 1.4%. The Nasdaq Composite for the week was up almost 3% for the week. The S&P 500 was up 1.42% for the week. The bank stocks decline didn't stop the U.S. averages from finishing higher Friday. The weak economic news came out Friday, so that keeps the Fed on gradual rate raise. Tech stocks had the best week on Wall Street and Wall Street points to them as a strong growth sector. We had Janet Yellen speaking before the Senate and Congress this week. And as you can see here, weak economic data may delay another Fed interest rate hike. So that's powering the markets up as the fear of faster rate raises is quelled. Some news on Amazon this week. Amazon shoppers flocked to Prime Day, and the sales grew 60% over last year's Prime Day. So Amazon had a good week with Prime Day. And as you can see here, the thing that people are concerned about now is Amazon's deal with Whole Foods should be scrutinized by Congress, lawmakers say. So what's happening here is that a House member is urging Congress to hold a hearing to analyze Amazon's proposed $14 billion acquisition of Whole Foods, a merger that critics say could cramp innovation and hurt workers. So that merger with Whole Foods is maybe looked at. Is Amazon getting too big for the government? And the government is talking about it. So Amazon is coming on people's radars with this Whole Foods and what they're doing to retail. So keep your eye on that. Some bad news for Apple. The iPhone 8 could be delayed by at least a month as Apple faces technological issues with wireless charging and 3D face recognition. So, if you want an iPhone, you're probably going to wait for your iPhone, but you're going to wait a little bit longer. So Apple did have some weakness that day, but did recover. All right, so let's get this out of the way, and we'll take a look at some markets. The XLF, as you can see, was down on Friday, but like I said, that didn't stop the markets from moving up. We'll go ahead and take a look at the Nasdaq Composite on the daily chart here, and you can see we're up near the record highs here on the Nasdaq. Next one up is the Dow 30, and you see that's clearing up over resistance. And then we have the SPY, and that was up over highs on the SPY. Let's take a look at the weekly. The SPY is pushing up. We're back over the 10 SMA on the SPY, and looking strong on the SPY. Some other markets we'll go through, and the first one up is going to be, we'll take a quick look at the US dollar on the weekly, and as you see, it's been trending down, and with that weak economic news on Friday, that didn't help the dollar. And here's the daily chart, and you see we've been down and trending down for quite a bit now. This is good for US companies though, because with the dollar being lower, that makes their goods and services cheaper overseas. The GDX, gold miners, not much this week. The GDXJ, same, not much. GLD, a little bit of a bounce off that 115 spot on the daily, but still under the 200 and the 20 SMA. HACK, HACK, this was down because cyber security stocks, CYBR came out, and they warned for their quarter 2 earnings, so that made the cybersecurity stock sell off a bit. Some other things that we're looking at is the HYG. This is the high yield corporate bond ETF, and you see that's powering higher after holding this 150 SMA. The IBB had a nice week, and we'll take a look at the weekly on that. That was up 1.26%. You see we're coming up to some resistance here at the 323 spot, but we have a little bit more to go before we hit that. Let's look at the daily. We see we're holding above the 5 EMA on the daily, holding above the 10 SMA on the daily for the IBB. The IWC, the micro caps, is up near all-time highs at this 90 level, and holding above all the fast-moving averages. IWM also just under record highs here at that 143 spot, we'll call it, and holding above all the moving averages. It held the 50 SMA here, and now it's trying to get above resistance. IYT, so goes the transport, so goes the Dow, making record highs on the IYT. JETS, which is the ETF for the airlines, pushing higher, just under that 33 spot for JETS. And once again, this is the ETF for airlines such as Delta, American Airlines, etc. JJC, copper, let's look at the weekly on this one, and you can see we're coming up to that 200 SMA test again on the weekly. We touched it here, and we failed, and now we're starting to build a consolidation here, and we'll see if they want to try to get up and over that 200 SMA on the daily. OIH, the oil services sector, such names as Schlumberger, Halliburton, Rig, Transocean, had a nice week, up almost 6% for the week on OIH. And here's the daily on that, but we do have the 50 SMA right above it, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. The Qs, well, we spoke about that with the NASDAQ, but as you can see, the Qs, that 144 level, and we did hold that 136 level that many talked about. Robo, ROBO, this is a automation robotics ETF, and you see that pushed higher, and on the weekly it's up near all-time highs on ROBO. SLV, a little bit of a bounce this week, up 2.3%, but still underneath all the moving averages, and still a little bit sluggish on the SLV. Take a look at the daily chart. You see we are back over the 10 SMA on the daily chart, but we do have the 20 SMA angled down and the 50 SMA angled down. SLX is the steel sector, and you see that pushed up near that 41 level that we've been talking about. And then on the weekly chart, we are above the 20 SMA on the weekly. So we'll see if this has any, can this push up any higher after holding the 200 SMA. The semiconductor index, SMH, held this 80 spot in the 20 SMA, and now let's see if they can push it up through 90 on the SMH. We'll take a quick look at the daily chart also of the SMH, and we are up above the 5 EMA on the daily chart for the SMH. And like I said, we do have that 90 spot up ahead that we'll have to get through. The S&P 500 we took a look at, and that's powering to new highs after coming out of this consolidation and holding the 50 SMA area. Next up is natural gas, and for the week, nat gas was actually up 4% for the week. USO oil had a really nice week this week. It was up over 5%, and this was after Goldman Sachs said oil could go sub 40. So, members from OPEC went to go meet with the oil drillers out west, and they want them to cut back on their oil production. So we'll see what's going to come about from that. But oil did have a good week. We'll take a look at XOIL, and that's the light sweet crude, WTI, and obviously that was up also 5% for the week. Here's the daily chart on the oil, and you see it came up to the 50 SMA here, and we're hitting it again. We fouled it once before. Now let's see if they can push up through the 50 SMA, but that's going to be the test right now to see if they can get through that 50 SMA. And here it is on the USO, and on the USO, the 50 SMA is 961. All right, so you want to keep an eye on that 961, 975 area for a USO. Nice recovery from 875, and on oil it was off of 43. We had that support at 43. We broke down through it and then moved down to 42. And a lot of analysts were saying we're going down to 30 because we broke this support here. But we did bounce, but now we have a big test at the 50 SMA. Next up, we'll just take a quick look at some ETFs. The XLF, like I said, we had a down day for the banks on Friday after they reported earnings. It came down to the 20 SMA on the XLF on the daily chart, and bounced off of that. So, such names like JP Morgan had earnings, came down to the 20 SMA. Citigroup had earnings, came down to the 20 SMA. for Citigroup, and WFC also had earnings on Friday, and PNC also out with earnings on Friday, and that's PNC Financial. So basically, Yellen's dovish tone was the thing that ignited the markets this week. And the only thing that's weighing on the markets right now going ahead is still Trump Jr. Emails with Russia. North Korea is still in the news. The other things that are still in the news right now is the healthcare bill, if that's going to get passed or not passed. So then they can move on to infrastructure and taxes. But so far, they haven't gotten the healthcare bill passed yet. With the Republicans and the Democrats. VIX hit all-time lows, the VIX, and that's right here. And we'll look at that on the weekly chart. But as you can see, a lot of complacency in the market, no fear right now. Here it is on the weekly. We closed at 951 on the VIX. TAN, the solar ETF, had a nice week, up 4.5% for the week. And on the daily chart, this is powering up. We've had a nice run off the lows, off this 17 area. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the work stocks for the week, and I'll start typing them in as I talk about them. ANF was down for the week 27% as they take themselves off the block to be sold. So the CEO is going to try to make it, and with ANF, and as you can see, Wall Street didn't like that information coming out. They want ANF to get sold, but looks like there's no buyers right now for Abercrombie and Fitch. Snap was down 11% for the week on SNAP. KORS down 6% for the week. Bank stocks were down 1% or so for the week. Casino stocks such as LVS was down for the week, down 1%. Wynn was down for the week, about 2% for the week on Wynn, WYNN. Let's see, Reed, REED, was down 35% for the week, small beverage company. Next one up, KTOV, down 29% for the week. OCUL down 11% for the week as they didn't get approval for one of their drugs, OCUL. Next one up is BNED, and this is Barnes & Noble. That was down 24% for the week. DRYS, Dry Ships, was down 9% for the week. And for the life of me, I don't know why people are trying to still look for a bounce in this stock. They can't. I don't even think they can do reverse splits anymore. And it is below $1 now on DRYS. RSYS, down 13% for the week. WPRT, down 15% for the week. HOV, down 15% for the week. TOCA, also down for the week. Looks like a recent IPO. That was down 13% for the week. VOXX was down 27% for the week. And that's an auto parts stock. So that's your worst stocks for the week. Some of the best stocks for the week were ARNA, Arena Pharmaceuticals, was up 26% for the week. Nvidia had a good week, and that was up 12%. Had a lot of price target increases this week. NRG was up 43%. SUNW was up 10% for the week. FSLR was up 9% for the week. So these are some of the stocks that make up the TAN ETF for solar. CSIQ, that was up 8% for the week. SPWR up 16% for the week, and that's because I guess oil made a nice move this week, so the solar stocks joined in. NTAP was up 13% for the week. Goldman Sachs added NTAP to their conviction buy list. SQ had a really nice week, up almost 12% for the week. PayPal was up for the week 6%, and there was rumors going around that PayPal may be interested in Square, so thus the interest, and the big push up on the for the week. AKS, one of the steel names, was up over 9% for the week. X was up for the week about 8%. So the steel stocks moved up because Trump was talking about infrastructure and tariffs for steel. So we'll see if they can continue that next week on AKS. X. STLD is another steel stock. Wasn't up that much, but you can see the consolidation that one's in. Another stock that was up for the week, an oil name that I picked out, was up 11% for the week. Good old Twitter, which we all use and love, was up 9% for the week on Twitter. TEUM, this was a small one, but had a nice 138% increase this week. HK, an oil name, they sold off one of their sectors or something, and so that lit that one up, and that was up 61% for the week. Some other stocks that were up were Mosy, MOSY, Semiconductor Space, and that was up 21%. CTRL, nice push up, 16% for the week on Control 4 Corporation. YRD, up 18% for the week. MYO, recent IPO. This was up 19% for the week on MYO. PTX was up 25% for the week. FOLD up 23% for the week. BLFS, another biotech, up 18% for the week. HTZ, Hertz, with the issues that Uber was having, Hertz was up 30% for the week. AAOI was up in the semiconductor space, was up 25% for the week. And a gold stock was up 18% for the week on NAK. And last I got VIPS, and that was up 12% for the week. Here's some news that came out on Friday, and this was after the bell. PPHM missed on Q4 earnings, and that stock took a hit after hours on Friday. SMIT also came out with earnings on Friday after the bell. Some other news that came out on Friday after the bell, we had some insider purchases. IFF, 10% owner. Winder purchased $40K, $132.80. FRSH, 10% owner. MFP, over 30,000 shares purchased at $420. KIN, 10% owner. Park West purchased $600K at $7.50. Some syndicate news. KBH mixed offering, security offering filed. MBVX filed Form S3, 50 million mixed security shelf. NBLX filed Form S1, 3 million, over 3 million common units on that one. And BBY, there was an article that came out on BBY, and that's from thestreet.com. Let's see if there was anything else. I think that's about it for after the bell on Friday. Oh, Caesars Entertainment operating company announced approvals from New Jersey Casino Control Commission. And that's about it. All right, so that's some of your news on Friday. So let's go ahead and we'll get into what's coming out for the week ahead. And not so much economic news, but more of the earnings this week. So just quickly, we'll go over economic. 8:30 Empire State number coming out on Monday, July 17th. Then we have, let's see, housing market index at 10 a.m. We have API crude numbers data coming out at 4:30 after the bell on Tuesday. We also have MBA mortgage application 7 a.m. Wednesday. EIA petroleum oil status report comes out on Wednesday. For Thursday, we have leading indicators at 10 a.m., 8:30, Philadelphia Fed Business Outlook, and that's pretty much it. Oh, the Nat Gas report, 10:30. Baker Hughes rig count comes out Friday at 1 p.m. each Friday. But some of the top earnings for Monday and the rest of the week, go ahead and load those up now. We do have BLK coming out with earnings before the bell on Monday. Netflix has earnings coming out Monday after the bell, so keep your eye on Netflix for a Monday. Other big top earnings coming out for Tuesday, and that before the bell: ANGO, Bank America, Goldman Sachs, HOG, that's Harley Davidson, J&J, LMT, Ameritrade, UNH. They all come out Monday before the bell. After the markets, we have ADTN, CSX, the railroad, IBM coming out on Tuesday after the bell, and UAL, an airline, coming out after the bell. For Wednesday, for your top earnings, before the market, we have, TXT, USB, Morgan Stanley, GWW, ASML. After the bell, Alcoa reports. Next one up is American Express, Hawk. This is the one that makes those pay cards, I believe. CCI. Let me scroll down a little bit. As you can see, the earnings are really coming out. Qualcomm will be reporting earnings on Wednesday. SRPT. So you see, it's going to be busy with earnings next week. So a lot of earnings coming out. Next one up, Thursday, July 20th. And before the bell, we scroll down, we have Abbott Labs, BBT, DOV. I'm looking for Nucor Steel coming out, PII, SAP, and that's before the bell. After the bell, some top names coming out. We have E-Trade Financial, eBay coming out Thursday after the bell, ISRG, Microsoft, SWKS, Visa. We also think that's pretty much, Capital One Financial also coming out on Thursday after the bell. And then for your Friday pre-market earnings coming out, we have CL, VLRS, GE, General Electric, GNTX, Honeywell, HBAN, KSU, MCO, RF, Schlumberger. So just a few names, top names there for your earnings. So that's your setup for next week, and we'll go ahead and we'll take a quick look at some stocks, such as the bigger names, the ones that make up FANG. First one up is Apple on the weekly. You see it's having an issue here at the 10 SMA on Apple on the weekly, and I went over that news that came out for Apple. Let's switch over to a daily. You see the 50 SMA is getting in the way of Apple currently. Next one up is Amgen powering up. Nice move on Amgen, filling this gap to the upside now. So we'll see what they want to do at this 180 spot. Here's the weekly of Amgen, but for the BIOS to keep going, you're going to need names like Amgen, Celgene, and whatnot to move up. Amazon, with their great Prime week this week, sales up over 60%. You see that's currently back over, and trying to hold this 1,000. We are holding the 5 EMA on the daily chart here. Let's take a look at the weekly. You see we're just under the all-time highs for Amazon. Next one up, semiconductor name AVGO, had a nice week, up 4% for the week. We bounced off the 100 SMA on the daily chart, and we've been powering up. BABA continues to move up, BABA, Alibaba Group, to new all-time highs. This is the weekly chart you're looking at. Just look at some of these bank stocks. Bank America, below the 10 SMA on the daily chart. BIIB, which is Biogen. This one, struggles here at the 200 SMA on the daily chart, but this is one that's going to need to get moving to keep the IBB moving up, and you see we're right almost up against the 200 SMA. That number is 281.34 for those interested. Next one up is Citigroup, just to show you the action, came down to the 20 SMA, bounced. Celgene up near highs here, On Celgene, let's take a look at the weekly. We had an all-time high back here in 2015. The high was 140.72, and we're currently made a high on Friday, 135.99. Celgene. Facebook had a terrific week. For the week, it was up 6% for the week on Facebook. Here's the daily. We broke out of this resistance spot here and pushing higher on Facebook, and Google also had a decent week. We have, here's the weekly, excuse me, up 4% for the week on Google after moving down after they were, that fine was set for $2 billion by the EU. It pushed all the way down to the 20 SMA, and now they're moving it back up. This is the weekly chart. And we'll look at the daily on Google also. JP Morgan, their earnings came out Friday, and we came down to the 20 SMA, and we're trying to hold the 20 SMA. Netflix, whose earnings come out Monday after the bell, nice bounce off the 150 SMA, moving higher. As far as the weekly chart goes, we held the 34 SMA, the dotted orange line you see here, and we're moving above resistance on Netflix. Nvidia, a lot of analysts raised their targets on this one, so we're pushing back up, to new highs on Nvidia, just under that 170 spot for Nvidia. Priceline, nice week for Priceline, new highs on Priceline, and when Priceline moves up, and we spoke about this one in previous videos, that brought EXPE, Expedia, also followed Priceline. Tesla, not joining the party right now. We're below the 10 SMA on the daily chart on Tesla. And for the weekly chart, we pulled back to about that 20 SMA on the weekly, held it, and they bounced it off the 20 SMA on the weekly for Tesla. Last bank that we'll look at is Wells Fargo, and this one pushed down to the 20 SMA. Nothing really interesting, but just pretty much doing what the other banks were doing. You see it had this resistance here, 56.50. Then the earnings came out. They pushed it down to the 20 SMA, and now with Yellen not being aggressive with the interest rates, we'll see if the banks are going to fall back more. So that's it for Zozo Stock Watch, and you are more ready for next week, July 17th through July 21st than you were before. I'm going to keep this video on the short side because I know everybody's outside. It's summertime, enjoying the nice weather. So that's your week ahead. You do have a lot of earnings coming up next week, so be prepared for that. Make sure, check your holdings. Make sure that you don't have, you're not in a stock that earnings are coming out, because you can get some, wicked action, obviously, to the downside and to the upside. So just bear that in mind. I will be doing another video that'll be out on Sunday, stocks to watch, but I want to keep this one on the short side. I know everybody's out there barbecuing, so thank you very much for listening. Thank you to all the new subscribers on YouTube. If you like these videos, please retweet them. Also, hit the subscribe button on YouTube. I greatly appreciate it. This has been Zozo Stock Watch. You're more ready for next week than you were before. Thanks for listening. Have a great weekend.